Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Robert, the CEO and co-founder at Sobo. Hello.
Hey there.
Hi Robert, nice to meet you. Please tell us what your company does.
Sure, yeah. Sobo is a technology company that matches businesses to consultants based on their data. And it
Okay.
has future AI capabilities that we're
Okay.
building in.
What do you see is the biggest problem that you solve for
The
companies?
biggest problem I think that we solve is that for the majority of consulting engagements for small to mid-sized companies, most of the time they never happen. And the reason why they never happen is because the business you generally isn't aware of how they could use a consultant, how they could integrate a consultant. There's a lot of blockers. There's a lot of friction in that process. And even when they know they have a need, like for a consultant to come in and help them go from A to B in their business, even knowing that they have a need, they often don't go to the marketplace to solve that need. The problem with the marketplace is that it lacks trust. There's no way that you can encourage or build trust in a marketplace because it's a marketplace. It's like anybody can offer their consulting services, and
Yes.
it's totally up to you to figure out who you're going to hire in that marketplace. And that could be a good decision, but often you make a really bad decision because you're not hiring consultants all the time.
Oh, it makes total sense. And how does your
Yeah.
solution work? Is it matchmaking?
Yeah, it's essentially matchmaking based off of data and insights. So as a business owner or leader, as you subscribe to our platform, the very first thing you're going to do as part of onboarding is you're going to integrate your data. You're going to integrate your financial applications, your sales CRM. You're going to integrate your HR platforms. So all of your cloud applications that your company's already using, you're going to integrate those. And the first thing you're going to see as sharing your data to the platform, you're going to get competitive benchmarking, right? So you'll be able to see how you're performing versus your industry peers. And that's something that very few businesses do. And when they do it incorrectly. So they'll benchmark against publicly traded companies, but as a privately held company, you have really no business benchmarking against the publicly traded. It's totally different operational efficiencies, and you're not going to be able to really measure or assess where you are currently when you do that. And the other thing I want to mention is that the data that you're sharing, it's all anonymized. We don't pull anything that's identifiable from your
Okay.
from your cloud platform. So for example, we don't pull your company name, address, we don't pull employee names, social securities, anything that's like sensitive to your business, that's identifiable to your business. We just simply don't pull those endpoints at all. So and then the data that we do pull, it's super secure, and it's encrypted, so you're not going to have an issue where the data gets into the wrong hands, right? If you have that issue, it's because your cloud provider, maybe your cloud application provider, has a data leak. For example, QuickBooks or Intuit. If their system's hacked, then hey, we can't do anything about that. But we protect the data that we pull, and we ensure that it's only shared with our verified, vetted consultant network. So we don't just share it with anyone. You have to be vetted and verified onto our platform, and we only take the top 3% of consultants.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
super difficult to even get onto our platform as a consultant. You have to prove that you have experience, you have past projects where you've been successful in implementing new strategies within the companies that you work for. So our consultants are able to take that data and provide insights on that data. And the insights that's essentially the recommendation phase of a consulting engagement. So the consulting method is assess, recommend, and fix. And so what we're doing is with our platform is we're trying to eliminate the assess phase to as much as possible. We're trying to reduce that time spending assessing an issue from weeks or days down to just minutes.
I understand. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for explaining how it works. It makes so
Sure.
much more sense. Yeah, I love to hear your favorite customer success story. So, how you found a consultant and managed to introduce them to the right company and the results.
Yeah, so we were working with a fire protection business in Georgia, and they had prior to joining our platform, they were looking back at past failed consulting engagements, and three consulting engagements really stuck out to them, where they said they just hired in one case they hired the wrong consultant, just point blank wrong consultant. In the other two cases, they hired the right consultant, but they selected the wrong type of engagement. So
Mm.
in one case, they hired a consultant who was a coach, and they needed a consultant that was a fractional. The difference between a fractional and a coach is that a fractional, think of baseball. A fractional is like a player coach, someone who coaches from the sideline, but can also go out and hit a home run.
Yes.
And versus just a coach, they're not comfortable doing the tactical implementations. They just want to coach someone on your team through that process. And so if you hire a coach when you really need a fractional, then you could end up wasting a lot of money. And that actually unfortunately happened to our subscriber
Okay.
prior to joining our platform. So once he joined our platform, he no longer has to worry about selecting the wrong consultant or the wrong type of engagement. He doesn't have to have and keep a sophisticated level of understanding on the buy side for consulting engagements. He doesn't need to maintain that internally. He doesn't need to know much at all about consulting. He just needs to know that he has a problem, or he's willing to share his data to identify what his problems are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what is
And
the
really, as
pricing?
a business owner, like that just makes the whole process easier because you don't have to worry. You don't have to, oh, this person that I just hired is, gonna take my money and run. You don't have to worry about that
Yep.
because you're exchanging through the platform, we control when the consultants get paid. And the consultants don't get paid unless they hit your deliverables. And the deliverables are determined at the front end, not halfway through the project.
Yes.
And that happens when you don't have the sophistication that the larger companies have. The small enterprise, the large enterprise companies, they have people embedded on their team that know how to integrate and bring in consultants. They do it all the time, and they typically work with large consultancies to enable strategic growth initiatives and enable things that their internal teams just um, aren't suited for doing. So the the reason why the small to mid-sized businesses can't and do the same thing is because one, they don't have the resources, they don't have the financial resources, they don't have the understanding of how to integrate consultants properly in their business. So they're really looking. There's two extremes. On the one extreme, you have the marketplace, which is a free for all, and on the other extreme, you have the Deloittes and the Accentures, and they're seven or eight figures a year, right, just to keep those engagements going, and they're just not geared towards serving those large consultancies. They're not geared towards serving the small to mid-size. So the small to mid-size, up to the point of like I would say small enterprise, they need consulting. They just don't have a good way of doing that right now. It's kind of like everyone needs ride sharing. Everyone needed the ability to get from A to B. Taxi services have been around for 200 years. Before cars, they had horses, but it was
Yes.
all marketplace until Uber came along. Everything was just marketplace. It was like, hey, I might get picked up by a taxi driver that charges me 3 times what he should have charged me. Or,
Yeah.
maybe he takes the long way to get to the destination so he can, get a little bit more extra money. So there was nothing to protect the buyer in that transaction. With the platform, you have protection and what we call engagement assurance. We'll make sure that your engagement is successful. That's our job.
You. Yeah. You explained it really well, and yeah,
Yeah.
great answer. Great answer. I love to hear the pricing. How does it work?
Yeah. So, so we're an early stage company and we are prepared to launch in the fall. We're going to open it up to the masses, so to speak. Anyone who's interested in joining. Right now, we have a closed beta pilot program that we're able to share with folks that are looking for either an insight or a consultant match. But as far as pricing on the platform, it is a 3-tiered model. And so essentially the way it works is at the base tier is the freemium tier. You essentially get access to the platform, and then you'll just pay for what you need. You'll pay for insights, you'll pay for matching, you'll pay for engagements, you'll pay for benchmarking, right? Those are essentially the main features of the platform. And then the second tier up is the kind of the standard plan. That's what most businesses will satisfy the needs of most businesses. That price point is $4.99 a month for the business, and there's a multi-user login, so you won't need to pay additional for each user in your company. So everyone in your leadership team can have access to the platform. So the $4.99 point on the standard plan, and then the top tier plan, which is the pro plan, is priced at $9.99 a month. And there's a few the main difference between the standard and the pro is that the standard does not come with monthly insights. You'll get a discounted rate if you want to pay for insights. The pro plan comes with 2 insights included per month. You will not need to pay for those consultant provided insights. And then the benchmarking difference is that on the pro plan, you're able to get new benchmarking data every month, versus on the standard plan, it just pulls once a year. So if you're fine with annual benchmarking, go with the standard plan. But if you want to get a continuous stream of insights on your data, and you want to get the full features of the platform, including the monthly benchmarking, then you're going to want to go with the pro plan.
Thank you for the transparency. I'd love to hear when you started the company and why did you decide to solve this problem?
Great question. So I actually started the precursor to this company 14 years ago.
Wow.
It was an IT company. It was called Sobo Networks.
Okay.
And Sobo Networks, my very first elevator pitch was that Sobo Networks would be a Deloitte for small business. And that made absolutely no sense at the time, because I was an IT consulting firm. Deloitte's not known for IT. They're known for tax and accounting. And it just didn't make any sense. But I could not let go of that vision. And I just continued to pursue it, often to the dismay of my employees and my clients. They just didn't understand what I was trying to build. And essentially what I was trying to build was a multifaceted consulting firm. But I realized over the last 5 years or so that just the economics will not work for that when it comes to building a large multifaceted firm that serves the needs of small to mid-sized companies. It just doesn't work that way. And then in the last 2 years, kind of got the epiphany that this problem is best solved through a platform. And so in the last year, fall of last year, I started raising funds. And in January of this year, we started the platform and hired the development team.
Fantastic. So from outside, it's a 1-year product, but in reality, it was 14 years of thinking about it and wanting to.
14 years in the making. Yeah, that's right.
How much did you raise?
So we have $750K committed and raised. We are our goal is to close at $1 million in the angel round. This will be our angel round. Close at $1 million by the end of the summer. So by Labor Day of this year.
Awesome.
That's the goal.
And how big is your team right now?
So we have 6 people on the team.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And what did you say was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
I think the biggest challenge to start the company was to take the risk, just to take the chance. Right? I had an existing business that had been running for 14 years. a healthy amount of installed revenue base on that company, and that was comfortable. Running the IT business is very comfortable for me. Um,
Yes,
I like it. I like solving problems and business problems, and so like that was great. And I think it just took me um, took it took some courage to just make that decision. So, hey, let's go for it. And I think once you overcome that hurdle, which took me a couple of months. Once I realized that this needed to happen. Once I got that, it was everything was easier, right? But that's the
understand.
initial thing. That's the initial
Yeah,
hurdle that I think everyone has to overcome.
absolutely. And what do you say was your biggest mistake that you did?
Hmm. I think that's to be determined, right? I mean, we're making mistakes every day for sure, but the biggest one, that's to be determined. We'll see. We're not afraid of mistakes. Mistakes come with the territory. You are going to, as a starting up a new technology company, you are going to waste money on something. You know,
Absolutely.
the question is how much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now more on the go-to-market side. How did you find your first customers?
So our first customers just came through word of mouth. We haven't really done much marketing to this point. Waiting for the general release of the platform before we start heavily, concentrating on the marketing efforts.
What did you say is the main vision for Sobo?
The main vision is to make growing and scaling your business easier than it is now, and giving you the resources that you need when you need them on demand to get to the next level.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. And now
Sure.
more on the personal side. I love to hear how you started your career.
Well, I started my career way back. This was in the early 2000s. I was in IT. I was working for a large architecture engineering firm,
Okay.
and that's how I kind of got started in that industry. And I built the Sobo Networks, or the IT company. I built that company up, servicing the architecture engineering community. So the challenge with that industry is that they have a lot of complexities on the desktop, because they have a lot of really powerful applications that are designing all these great buildings that we're going into, and all the bridges that we're driving over. So that requires a heavy amount of computational power on the desktop, and those applications are not for the faint of heart. So a lot of them are like Photoshop on steroids. And so you have to, not be afraid to jump in and just figure things out, right? And help others figure things out. And that's really what consulting is all about. It's about helping others get to the end. What's their end? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to design a building? Are they trying to push out a new product? Are they trying to motivate their sales team? Whatever it is, I mean, there's every business has problems that they need to solve with consulting. So, but that's how I got started. Was in an architecture firm.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And what is your best piece of advice for a starting founder? Your biggest learning that you can share with them?
I'd say I have a lot, but I would say that the one thing I always tell other startup founders or owners, and I think it resonates with them, is just don't overreact to issues as they come up. Um, Try to keep your emotion in check, and um, when something comes up that you did not expect or you didn't plan for, just know that's life. Life is just this continuous journey, this continuous process that never ends until you die, right? So when you see it as a continuous process, it's easier to manage than if you see it as like this emotional roller coaster. And so that would be I think my number one piece of advice.
Thank you so much.
And the second, I would say the second is that when you get started in your business, you got to keep your ego in check, because you started your business because you know your craft very well, you know what you're doing, and you know how to do it very efficiently. But there's a lot of other things around what you're doing, like the back end of the business, the operations, the structure, and all of that. You just got to be honest with yourself. You don't have that figured out, and you need help. And so you got to check your ego, and you can't be afraid to invite others to the conversation around your business.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
Yeah, so I would love for anyone that's interested in signing up for early access to check us out at Sobo AI. And the name of the platform is Sobo. You can find us online. You can join one of our communities. We have communities for consultants as well as for business owners. And just stay plugged in and look forward to serving you guys in the near future.
Thank you so much for joining.
Okay, thank you.